In the last episode, Takeda Shingen marched to war against Oda Nobunaga, first taking the fight to the Tokugawa clan who stood in his path. It is here that Shingen and Tokugawa Ieyasu engaged in the Battle of Mikatagahara, which would result in defeat for Ieyasu. Yet a successful retreat would seal his survival. Months later, as Shingen continued his march, he tragically would pass away during the siege of Noda Castle, causing power to shift to his son, Takeda Katsuyori. Now, as turmoil engulfs the Takeda clan, Oda Nobunaga will turn to deal a killing blow against the Ashikaga Shogunate and the Azai-Asakura coalition. By 1573, Oda Nobunaga was starting to get a grip on the situation in central Japan. The once powerful Miyoshi clan were being ousted from the mainland. The temple fortresses of the Iko-Iki were tied down in a state of constant siege. The Azai and Asakura proved to be incapable of overcoming the Oda, and the great Takeda Shingen supposedly had died, halting the Takeda clan on their march west against Nobunaga. The fog of turmoil was finally lifting, and things were finally coming together. The Kinki region would soon be fully in Nobunaga's grasp. The main threat to Oda power had been the Takeda clan when Shingen began his march west. Nobunaga surely viewed it as dire circumstances. However, he had to rely on Tokugawa Ieyasu being capable of slowing down the Takeda, as Nobunaga could not move for fear of the Azai and Asakura taking advantage of his absence. The best he could do was send aid and pray. The Takeda had made it far, pushing deep into Tokugawa territory as far as Mikawa, and even crossing the mountain passes between Shinano and Mino to seize the Oda castle of Iwamura. Yet, the supposed death of Shingen halted the Takeda onslaught. The new head of the clan, Takeda Katsuyori, would devote himself to carrying on Shingen's plans, yet it would be another year before he resumed any major action. Knowing Nobunaga now faced a plethora of foes, the rebellious shogun, Ashikaga Yoshiaki, began bolstering his position in Kyoto in anticipation for the capitulation of the Oda. Unfortunately for him, Shingen's death meant the Oda weren't going anywhere, and soon Oda forces surrounded the shogun's castle of Nijo. Yet it was here that the emperor intervened and caused both sides to agree to an uneasy truce, a truce that would undoubtedly not last. By August of 1573, Nobunaga, alongside Hashiba Hideyoshi, once again attempted another siege of the Iko-Iki stronghold at Nagashima in Ise province. Yet once again, the Oda forces would be repelled from the castle. This defeat brought Yoshiaki renewed confidence, causing him to openly rally against Nobunaga for the second time that year, shattering their flimsy truce. This time, the shogun marched an army out to the famous Uji Bridge, hoping to tie Nobunaga down while the Azai, Asakura, and Iko-Iki all launched simultaneous attacks against him. However, Yoshiaki had severely miscalculated, as none of his allies were able to attack Nobunaga before Nobunaga's forces fell on the shoguns, crushing his army and breaking through into Nijo Castle. Utterly crushed, Yoshiaki surrendered and begged to keep his life, a request Nobunaga granted. Yet, we can see here he was finally at his wit's end with Yoshiaki and shogunal politics. Knowing that he was now the unquestionable power in the capital, Nobunaga would strip the shogun of all authority and send him into exile. The Ashikaga would officially be no more, and with their fall, the shogunate was ultimately dismantled. The 237-year reign of the Ashikaga shogunate was over. And now, Nobunaga assumed full control over the capital, unburdened by the weight of status or position. With Yoshiaki finally out of his hair, and the Takeda momentarily quiet, Nobunaga set out at the head of a grand army, and aims to obliterate the last major clan rivals he had near the capital, the Azai and Asakura. His initial target would once again be the Azai power base of Odani, a site which over the past 3 years had seen much fighting. Yet, with the Oda army on the march, Asakura Yoshikage quickly dispatched an army of 20,000 to aid the besieged Azai. This time, Nobunaga anticipated Asakura reinforcements and laid a trap which caught the Asakura army before they reached Odani. Ambushed and in a state of panic, the Asakura army fled back into Echizen, pursued by the main bulk of the Oda forces. In sight of the approaching Oda army, Yoshikage opted to flee from his stronghold at Ichijo-no-Dani, which was then burned to the ground by the Oda. As Nobunaga's armies quickly enveloped his province, Yoshikage would eventually commit seppuku on September 16th, and with his death, the Asakura clan was destroyed. In addition, the province of Wakasa also fell to the Oda. For years, the province had been owned by a minor branch of the Takeda clan, yet due to infighting, the Asakura had exerted their influence over the area. Yet with the fall of the Asakura, both Echizen and Wakasa fell into Oda hands. With the Asakura wiped out, Azai Nagamasa was now surrounded in Odani Castle, as Oda troops poured back over the border into Omi from Echizen to firmly continue the siege of his power base. Unable to repel the Oda forces no matter how hard he valiantly tried, Nagamasa knew he was beaten. Nagamasa, who was married to Nobunaga's sister Oichi, made an honorable gesture and released her and their daughters back into Nobunaga's care. Following this, he and his father, along with much of the Azai leadership, then committed seppuku. With this, the Azai clan were also destroyed. Nobunaga was victorious. In the aftermath of the conflict, the heads of both Azai Nagamasa and Asakura Yoshikage would be lacquered in gold and presented to Nobunaga at a great feast. In the case of the conquered territory, Nobunaga would bestow the newly acquired lands to some of his finest retainers. Portions of Echizen were divided between Maeda Toshie, Fuwa Mitsuharu, and Sasa Norimasa, while the rich Azai territory in Omi was given to none other than Hashiba Hideyoshi. So, what can we learn from this? After the death of Takeda Shingen, Shogun Ashikaga Yoshiaki continued to rebel against Nobunaga. Yet finally, after Nobunaga's failure to seize Nagashima in 1573, Yoshiaki marched out with an army to oppose Nobunaga. This ended poorly for him, as no one was able to come to his aid before his forces were crushed and his stronghold was besieged. At this point, Nobunaga finally cast out the Shogun and dismantled the Shogunate. He was now the ultimate power. Nobunaga then moved on to deal a killing blow to the Azai and Asakura. Leading a massive army against Odani Castle, he would instead only mask the castle and take the fight to the Asakura, who quickly capitulated. With no more allies and completely surrounded, Azai Nagamasa returned Nobunaga's sister and their daughters, and then opted to commit suicide. With this victory, Nobunaga was now the unquestionable ruler of the entire region. In the next episode, we take a step away from central Japan to examine stirrings in the south, as the Chosakabe clan of Shikoku begin to gain power, and the Shimazu clan of Kyushu start a new campaign to restore their former glory. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell if you enjoyed this video and found it to be most informative.